this, and that. That's the correct order. Okay. Fantastic.
Only, 70-something episodes?
72 specifically.
Ooh.
Yes. You're our 72nd episode. Not our 72nd guest, though. That's a little bit different. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cruisin the Planet. I'm your host, Ethan Miller. I guess I'll let this song do a little more of an intro. Yeah, it's fine. It's not as well produced as some of our other works, Kyle. I will let you know. You can relax on this one. I see you've already taken your jacket off. Get nice and comfy. Don't even sweat it. I didn't even have my notes set up for this. That's totally fine.
We're casual.
Yeah, it's casual. Like I said, I didn't prepare anything ahead of time for this one specific show. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cruisin the Planet, episode 72. Today we are joined by extra special guest, someone I've been doing a lot of work with in the past couple of months, Kyle Cruz. You can say hi to the people.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on, and appreciate all your hard work with Tarleton Athletics, Ethan.
Before we get into that, we also have to say we have Cole on.
Hello.
Cole is here again. I believe you've been off for a couple of weeks.
I have, but now I'm here to talk about all I don't know about sports, I think.
Okay.
That's what I'm here for, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. There we go. So, as we've kind of alluded to, Kyle is, as I like to say, a play-by-play artist. And athletics department graduate assistant for marketing is your sort of official title here as a graduate student. You're also one of the most talented voices in the athletics department from my personal perspective.
Very appreciative of that, Ethan. I think let's be a little loose on the artist part. Myself,
no.
I try my
with your
best.
Voice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, I'm just blessed to be in the spot I'm in, and at Tarleton now for my 5th year, and I like I said, the opportunity I was given with women's basketball, I've kind of run with that a little bit. I've been blessed to work with some great people like my boss Casey Hogan, and then Byron Anderson, who also you hear on the airwaves for Tarleton Athletics. So yeah, like I said, I feel very blessed to be in the place I'm at, and in what is really right now a flourishing time, not just for Tarleton Athletics, but really Tarleton as a whole institution right now.
Yeah, we've got currently we've moved into D1, and so we have a lot more sports that we've been doing. The relationship that Kyle and I hold is that Kyle is the play-by-play person. He goes out and does all of the talking that you're very familiar with. If you've ever listened to 100.7, whenever I've alluded to myself doing board operations for different baseball games or softball games or women's basketball games, that you've more than likely heard Kyle's voice before. And the board for every play-by-play person, you need at least one board op. And so that's sort of the partnership that we have built over the last couple of months. Was a level of Kyle's the voice, and I'm the technical side of things.
Well, and I say that I'm blessed just to be a part of Tarleton Athletics. We're blessed with the partnership we have with you, Lance, and everyone here at KTRL and KXTR. Y'all are what helped bring us to the Tarleton community, into the Stephenville community. Without y'all, we don't have the platform that we have. And so, yeah, like I said, on that front as well, I couldn't ask for a better partnership with you guys. Y'all have always been super, negotiable with the things y'all need done, and y'all are always very easy to work with. And, that's something that kind of gets overlooked in this industry a little bit, is kind of the partnership between a station affiliate and then an athletic department or, a professional entity. And that's something you always want to be smooth, and it is smooth here on the home front.
We try to be very, very pleasant to work with. There's always a chance that something goes awry. We manage both the stream and the downloads and the pregame, postgame shows at the same.
They are.
They're very stressful. There's
that play-by-play person.
Yeah, there's a level of it's just out of my. I've had multiple times where you've given me. I've had. I believe Byron would give a phone call to you, and then you would text me in between, literally having conversations about very technical dealings in 1 minute, intervals, while all the ads are playing in between sports plays of women's basketball games or softball games, and there are moments when it's just out of your hands. But then other times it'll be great where it's like we have no problem for 3 games in a row. Everything's totally fine. I could do it in my sleep.
It's funny that you bring that up because there's always kind of that verbiage of chain of command. I feel like in a live event, it's more of a chain of demand. There's all these different people that are involved in this. And
that is so true.
And everyone holds kind of an equal part. If you're not doing your job here, how are we going to be able to get the people what I'm saying on site? But the flip side of it is, if I can't give you the levels, if I can't give you the kind of production you need, mean, it's kind of 20-fold, but both ways. So, and then you have other people like Byron, like Casey, Lance on your front. If you have something go wrong, all these people, the clock never really stops when athletics is going, because while you might not be board-opping a game, Lance might need you to be over in one studio helping with something else to pick up some slack until he's able to go over, or vice versa. There could be a day where Lance, he's off with the wife and kids, and then he's got to have his phone by, because if something happens, and once again, I think. But the thing to remember about it is, if you enjoy your job and you enjoy the people you're working with, it's not demanding in a sense, but in a way, you just kind of always have to be ready for that call and ready to pitch in and chip in and help in whatever way you can.
I know for a fact you have messaged me 3 times, I think, and it might not have been you specifically, but I've had 3 messages where I'm in bed. I am, ready for a nap, or, going into that post-charcuterie board sleep that you get, and I get a message just like, you at the station? And I just go, I'm on my way. I'm putting pants on. I'm putting boots on. I'm running to the truck. I'm driving to the station, and you're like, all right, we're all good. Everything's set up, and I'm sitting there just like, okay, now I sit and just sit here, because one thing of board op, you'll never see a board op position, and so I feel like now is my chance to sort of explain the bit. Is I sit here at the station. I have one microphone that is completely off air to talk directly into Kyle's ear. Kyle has his whatever connection he's using. Sometimes he'll use the tie line, the Merlin, the old Comrex system. They're all encoder systems that come to our area, and then I just play him over the air, and that's all I do. I just sit there and wait for him to say his couple of different lines that he says, and then I play 1 minute of ads every so often. It is very much a game of I sit here and I just stare at the ceiling, and when I hear the thing, I do this and this and this, and then I press this one more time, and then I move the mouse, and I tell him, coming back to you. I turn my mic back off. I don't talk for another 10 minutes. I reverse everything, and that's it.
It seems very uneventful until it's extremely eventful.
And that's exactly the thing. Is it's a job of maintenance. Where on Kyle's end, Kyle is constantly talking. Every single point that is made, every free throw, every single at-bat, every run, every play is constantly being broadcasted. The idea is that you are really filling time the whole bit. On my end, I'm there in case something goes wrong. Whenever we go to a break, then Kyle will tell me, Ethan, the stream is echoing. I now have 1 minute to fix that problem. Otherwise, it is going to persist until the next time that the game allows us to communicate and check when things are broken. And so it is a situation of maintenance type job. It is very much like while you're board opping, everything's totally smooth sailing until it's not.
I got to step in. And not to say that you're downplaying your role, but I don't.
It does seem like that. You don't do anything.
There's not a lot I do though.
But seriously, when you look at it, I can't tell you how much more secure you feel on site. And I've had it from both sides. I worked when I was at TCU doing my undergrad.
That's right. You were at TCU as well.
I had the pleasure of working 3 baseball seasons there, and there typically you have student board ops. That's how it works. Now, once you get into the postseason, you get into summer, once kids have kind of dissipated, then you start getting the paid kids who've done it over and over and over, and there's a little more comfortability there. But knowing that I have you, or that I have Lance, or even Jarrett who comes in here and helps out, these are all people that, like I said, it's just a level of security on site, knowing that I don't have to worry about the station. I don't have to worry about things going wrong there, because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong here, I can do a great job at the venue, but we're not getting the information to anybody.
Right.
And knowing that we have you guys to lean on here, not only to bring the information, but to make sure that we're, getting quality audio, that, we're kind of bringing the kind of product we need to our fan base. Like I said, don't downplay the role, because as a play-by-play broadcaster on site, while at times guys like myself, Casey, Byron, who've done this a long time, we make it kind of sound, I'm not even going to use the word easy, because nothing about it in a sense is easy. Every game is different, every storyline is different, all those things.
That's fair.
It comes fluid. It's a comfortability of having been on the air. Every single time you see that red light come on again, you're that much more comfortable behind the mic and understanding how to do it. But you got the internal clock and the internal kind of hamster wheel, so to speak. It's always spinning.
Right.
It's always spinning. Yeah. And knowing that y'all are one thing we don't have to worry about, it's invaluable, so to speak.
Yeah, you know what? I will agree on Kyle's end, the level of, like, every time that he'll be like, Ethan, something's wrong, and I just say, I will fix it. That's completely fair, because at no point can he fix it, too. So at no point do I need him to be worried of, like, I don't know, Kyle, we're just going to figure it out as we go. You want to start pushing buttons or moving things? If Kyle's mic is too hot, I'll tell him to adjust it. That's actually a good point you bring up. There's a bit more in control I am. I must be that I've finally hit that level that you said, that comfortability. That now I'm just bullying you. The comfortability of doing it long enough and doing it when I'm tired and doing it early in the afternoon or doing it late into the day. Well, that is like, oh, I know exactly what I need to be doing.
And I love that you bring up, the minute breaks, having to diagnose and things. We're at an event typically, outside of baseball and softball and volleyball, there's a clock. Football and basketball, there's a clock. They have an X amount of time to get X amount done. Well, we have that as well. The only difference is our clock starts when theirs stops. Yeah. That's when we kind of have to get going, because a lot of the time during live action, you have to be very careful with the things you're doing and kind of the attention to detail, especially on site. Even the best play-by-play guy, you've got to be focused on the action and the stuff in the studio. You just have to hope that the people are kind of carrying their weight, so to speak. And it's just funny. I love the analogy you bring up, Ethan, because in a sense, we don't have, you punch in and punch out. We don't have those, so to speak, in live events. But it's like you said, when things go fast, I mean, you got to go. You got to be ready to rock and ready to diagnose problems and then fix them on the spot in order to be able to move your broadcast forward and to make it, like I said, the quality product that you want.
Yeah, it's rather, there's a, what was it? When Lance was explaining it to me, it all opened up once when I was offered to take the board with me and drive Kyle way out to that. Where was that game at?
Man, it was outside of Austin. That was the Stephenville Faith game.
It was Stephenville Faith Nights.
Yeah.
I was told to drive out to an event with Kyle. It was like an all-day drive type of thing. We had a big, long conversation on the drive there. A much shorter conversation on the drive back because Kyle didn't do his homework that day.
No.
But
I slept after that. So yeah, I was very appreciative of Ethan carting us around.
Right.
And then I took the board and I went to Morgan Mill. It was just all event hours on my end, and then Lance was like, you know what, do you want to just start doing board op stuff? Do you want to try this out? Because what's his name? Not Aaron? Is that
Aaron Young?
Yeah, Aaron stopped doing board op stuff for a reason we don't have to get into on the show. He just conflict of a bunch of things. And so it opened up the spot for me to do board hopping, and Jarrett was going to be the secondary. I stepped in as secondary, and we've just been doing this sort of ever since. An athletics contract that I hold up. That's my next second job. I've had a plethora of second jobs on this show, as the audience possibly knows. But that's really where it all kind of got started, was just like one long drive with Kyle, actually. So it's very, very fitting that you be the first person from athletics over here on our show, on the show.
I mean, I tell everyone in this industry, a lot of it has to do with getting lucky. Right place, right time. I've been in those situations a lot of the time. I've known a lot of great broadcasters who, I don't want to say it's stalled out on them, but they, so to speak, kind of are in that career purgatory in a way. I know people when I was growing up who they were kind of looked like they were ascending up. And before you know it, either the jobs will dry up, and you have to remember it's a very competitive industry. The one, not even just the play-by-play industry, just the sports industry in general.
You were telling me once about the catering that you'll get at events, the salary that you can get just for working a thing.
I mean, you're working sports.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many things in life really
biggest entertainment.
And I know that in a sense you can find problems with everything, but how often do you deal with work issues when you're covering sports? I mean, think about it. Everyone's going to deal with bosses that they even if it's a boss you love and enjoy. We're lucky enough. Y'all are lucky enough to work under Lance. I'm lucky enough to work under Casey and Byron. But you're always going to come to a head with your boss. That always happens. But when you look at it, when you're doing these kinds of things, radio and sports, I mean, are usually the problems? It's not, an income tax statement that got refiled wrong or dealing with HR issues in an insurance company. I mean, you're getting to be hands-on doing live entertainment events. Right. And, I mean, these are the kind of jobs that people covet. And I talk about the opportunity.
There's a magic to them. There's a magic to these jobs.
There is, and that's why, I've kind of chased this since I got out. I graduated from college in 2015, and, it's something. There is a certain kind of rush, and there is something about it. In a smaller way, it's kind of like being an actor or a singer in a way.
I was about to ask if you had taken any improv classes, because you seem to be able to like really get it out.
That's the thing is, don't get me wrong, those are much more, I don't want to say tougher jobs, but in a sense, when you look at the structure, if you miss your window on acting or singing, you're kind of done. Right. I know kids that have kind of gotten into, whether it's not necessarily play-by-play sports reporting in college, learning that's something that you enjoy. Mm-hmm. There is kind of a certain, I don't even want to use the word notoriety. There's something just about sports that just kind of pulls people in. I feel like, and especially the kind of like the journalists, the reporters, the play-by-play people, the board ops, like you just want to be a part of it. It's not your normal everyday cookie cutter 8 to 5. Clock in, clock out. Go home, dread going back. I mean, there's just something to it, and like I said, it's about being patient. There's a luck to it. I was fortunate enough to be in the spots I was in to get every single job I've had. I have not gotten a job because of a resume since I got out of college.
Yeah,
wow.
They've all been off relationships. They've been off people I've known, being directed to the right places,
networking.
Working hard, and that in sports, that's the one thing we talk about. Me and Byron Anderson, who's the voice of Texan football. Your resume in this industry, the further you get down the road, the less important it becomes. Yeah. And that's what I also love about this field, and a reason that I want to stay at Tarleton for an extended period of time is that the relationship building, the ability to kind of get rooted in, to know everyone, and to really build that kind of connection. You don't find that every day. And here in Stephenville, there's something unique going on here, I think, with the Division I transition and with athletics, the university, a great president under Dr. Hurley now. I mean, it's just a really fun place to be at. And like I said, a lot of it has to do with opportunity and luck, and I feel like I've just got a lot of it. I feel like there's an abundance of it on my front end, and I just feel very fortunate. And once again, that's twofold. I feel like y'all are in a very good spot too here at KTRL and KXTR. Under great leadership with Lance and a radio station that is continuing to flourish. And that's one thing I want to point out too. Athletics is a huge driving force here. I know that it's a partnership that KTRL and KXTR are very proud of. But y'all's station goes so much deeper than that. There's so much going on here beyond that, because I feel like sometimes athletics is kind of, that 800-pound giant in the room from a sense.
It does.
I mean, think
it's
of
big.
Athletics
it's big.
does feel like a bit of a looming presence whenever they get involved. There's like, oh, well, now athletics is here. It's a big event now.
Where else? What other event? And once again, this is me purely from a numbers standpoint, a statistics standpoint. I'm big on being able to show me facts, show me evidence.
Yeah, I can back that up. Every time Kyle is in doing a game or play-by-play, he is every bit about numbers of the game and the math behind it. Very fun.
What other event, and not even event, what other body, student body, where else are 15,000 people showing up other than Memorial Stadium? And it doesn't make the football team any more important than it does the band, the Plowboys, Pancas, any of these things. If anything's, it's kind of, I feel grateful, athletics feels grateful for the sense that we have that platform.
Yeah.
And I know that KXTR and KTRL, that we, like I said, the partnership is something y'all covet, but man, when you look at all of the great opportunities, especially outside this COVID world we live in right now, once the doors are kind of kicked down once again, I mean, from concerts that are hosted on campus, you'll have a terrific group of DJs here. There's a great, a lineup of talk shows, all these different things, and having seen it firsthand at TCU, I told Lance this, and this is me speaking honestly. You're not going to find anyone that takes pride in their alma mater like I do. I love TCU deep down. I mean, I'm a frog through and through. There are a number of things this radio station does at a higher level than KTCU. And once again, I'm very close with the co-managers over at KTCU. I went to school with Jeff Craig, who helps run the radio station over there. I'm very close with his partner, Janice McCall. They have been doing great things, updating their equipment, but it's very antiquated over there in certain ways, and some of it's had to do with previous, leadership over there. And they're stepping in now to try to bridge those gaps. But I walked in here the first time I did a football game to help as a radio host, studio host, I should say, for the opener, not this previous football season, but the one before when we went and defeated Stephen F. Austin on the road. I walked in there and looked at that board, and I said, dude, that's not anything we had at KTCU. 100%.
Nice equipment.
100%. You look around at these studios, I mean, they're state-of-the-art. These are things, and these are little things that get overlooked. Go around the state of Texas to other college radio stations. Go across the country to different radio stations. I mean, campus radio stations are severely underfunded. Because and it's something that's hard. It's something for someone like me. It hurts, but I'm someone who can acknowledge the fact that people say radio's a dying industry. And in a sense, it is, but it's as alive as ever on college campuses.
Well, here's the thing.
It is.
Here's the thing. Like, people like to say that radio is dead because we've got podcasts, we have access to television media, we have all of these things. However, online news, all of the, I hear a lot social of students
media.
say, I get my news from Twitter. Exactly. Social media. I get my news from these people. The problem with those being, and I had this argument with Lance once. I was like, Lance, if I can do a 30-minute morning and 30-minute afternoon podcast that's released twice a week, why would I ever want to listen to a radio? And he's like, instantaneous information. Mm-hmm. The ability to broadcast live to everyone, all they need is a receiver, completely free to listen to.
Yep.
That's why we still have the American Broadcast Association's emergency things. The emergency alert system still comes through radio. You get that on TV sometimes, but you're going to hear it first on radio. If you ever need news, you're going to hear it on radio. I want to talk about luck. I had the luck of hosting a live counting of the ballots for President of the United States this last election. Mm-hmm. By being on radio, I was able to give updated information as everything came in, something that a television show, yes, if it was doing live, but you would need access to those channels already. Right. With radio, it's completely free, instant access to information, and still, there are two words that just has no one in advertising, and you would appreciate this from marketing, the words drive time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have everyone captivated. You have a fully captive audience who is looking for something interesting while commuting to work for that half hour, 1 hour long drive.
When something huge happens turn
on the radio.
Yeah, you turn on the radio. Oh, if there's a storm or something, you turn on the radio.
Yeah.
During COVID, you turn on the radio.
Turn on the radio. During COVID, we would be giving people out information in Stephenville. This restaurant is closed. Walmart closes from this time to this time. If you are looking for these resources, you need to go here. If you need to pay your water bill, the location for drop-off has been moved to this different location. The City Hall is closed. This building is closed. Please stay indoors during these times. Everything is closed. The news channels were just barely catching up, and we were on the forefront. We all had it different in journalism beads and whatnot. Information and accessibility with radio is where it's at. Entertainment, I totally get what you're talking about. I hear it of I don't want to listen to the radio. It's a dying thing constantly, and yet it stays strong as still the largest provider of information for the entirety of America at minimum.
Well, I'm going to bring a sports analogy in for y'all, and I know Ethan's probably heard it. Cole, I'm going to see. If I referred to someone's ceiling and their floor, would y'all know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so we're talking about a star athlete that's in high school. Yeah. His ceiling would be viewed as how high he can go.
I understand what you mean.
A kid that is just a phenomenal baseball player at Stephenville High School. He could go play and be a starter in Major League Baseball.
Right.
His floor is probably gaining an athletic scholarship somewhere, just to get his college paid for.
Right.
So here's what I think that a lot of people don't realize. The ceiling for all these podcasts and all these things online, they're through the roof in a sense. Like
downloadable.
Barstool Sports is a great example. Those guys literally have made themselves millionaires off of just sitting around and shooting the breeze with their homies. That's what they do
about
sports. Literally, throw in some advertising, some people that want to do that, and they've created their own platform,
some marketing,
their own money
some
maker.
Products, some social media memes.
The ceiling is so high, but here's the thing. The difficulty of reaching it, it grows by the day because the internet is so saturated. It's saturated with everything. How many true crime podcasts are there? Sports podcasts, fantasy football. I mean, there's stuff.
Every hobby has a podcast.
Everything, and those continue to grow. So your audience continues to shrink because there's only so much ability to consume these things as us as individuals.
Free time.
So
is minimum.
So here's my thing, Ethan. The ceiling for radio it's lowered in recent years just because of all the different, whether it's listening to music. You can always kind of counter one of these things. Music.
True.
You got Spotify. You got Pandora. You got literally. I'm one of
CDs.
I'm one of the dorks that literally just pulls up YouTube on my phone. If I just want a song,
no.
And I go to
that
YouTube
music.
YouTube music is a real thing. I've seen it.
So
come on now.
You've got all of these. So yeah, your ceiling is lower, but I'm going to challenge it with that the floor. It's never going to get as low for radio because it's established.
Yeah.
It has a foundation, and that frequency, that plays such a large role. Because the thing is here's the great thing, is somebody just in the state of Texas, grand scheme of things, KTRL is not a big radio station compared to some other places.
We have 100 miles.
Here's what
Texas is huge.
Yeah, here's what it is, though. It's an exclusivity to it that the internet doesn't have. Now, you have your pay-for sites and all of that, but
that's true.
Anyone can get them. If you want to listen to KTRL, you better be within a 100-mile radius.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one way to kind of view it. And Ethan, the flip side of it is people going, well, what if you don't want to just be the floor? What if how do you want to continue to try to reach that ceiling, expand that ceiling, maybe get higher than other radio stations? Mm-hmm. It's so comparable to this Division I transition for us. In this day and age, it's adapt and adjust.
Yeah,
that's what you have to. You have to find if you don't feel like your platform is kind of moving the needle, find a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I think radio has been doing adaptability from the very beginning.
Well, and in my line of work, do you know what they're starting to do all over the place now? I'm seeing it with post game interviews here with the Charlton Sports Network, and then at TCU they're doing it throughout the game. They are setting up cams with the play-by-play guy. So what they'll do is just the ones that I've seen at TCU, the examples is their social team will send out a shot that has the play. It's got a half screen, and on one half it has the actual play that's happening. The quarterback hitting the wide receiver with a touchdown, and then it's showing my mentor, who's the play-by-play guy. It's showing him as he makes the call of it on the field, and so it's finding new ways. And that's a great example. Who wants to listen to the game on the radio when you could be watching it on TV? And once again, we're talking about people that I grew up and learned from, and I'm even guilty of this. There's times where I don't want to turn the radio on, or we'll just flip it on the TV. There's, it's just kind of a different way to digest the game. Yeah. And in certain instances, that's the way I would like to do so. So
there's a big part of football that is a visual game.
How does the TCU Sports Network, the Tarleton Sports Network, how did they find a way to continue moving forward and adjust to the times, and make it a product that in a way is different than the one they've had in the past. Yeah. And it's a quality one still. You're not just adding things to add things. No. You're adding things of substance that bring an extra kind of layer to the broadcast and helps you move forward.
You might be rather excited about this. We made the announcement a couple of weeks ago, but we had a podcast competition for students to enter into our sort of a choosing list of. We would help them produce 6 episodes, and they would be hosted here on Tarleton Radio Network. Mm-hmm. And the winner of that was a very specific Cody Vanoy, baseball player.
There you go, catcher.
You know him.
Cody
you
Vanoy,
know him specifically.
Terrific
he
player.
wants to do a Tarleton sports podcast.
Journey of the Texans?
Journey of the Texans is the name of it. We're putting together the account right now. I believe on Monday we're going to have our first
So let me ask,
interview and setup.
I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I asked, though, because I'm curious, is this kind of an encompassing where you're looking around Tarleton athletics, or is he trying to bring different student athletes on to chat?
Student athletes.
Student athletes, okay.
Which is something that Tarleton just hasn't had yet, and yet we see I've am personally trying to find that guy did that play. I want to see what this player is all about. Getting interviews with students specifically, moving up to D1. Now is the perfect time to try and start this. We feel Cody specifically is an intern. I believe he's on the Intern to Learn program, but he's directly underneath the person who writes out all of the.
He's in our internship program.
Yeah, he's
with the Tarleton Sports Network.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
he's with the Sports Network as an intern, and he's been wanting to do sports journalism, and he's taken almost all of the prerequisite classes for it specifically. An amazing pick, an amazing chance for Tarleton University to finally be, we're D1. Here's all of our student athletes going into D1. Only because there's a recent thing. My younger brother, he plays baseball for. Texas A&M Texarkana, And I told him about coming here for D1, and his immediate first response, he says, and I talked to a couple other guys, and its classic first response is D1 is just burning your first 4 guys, your first 4 years of athletes. When you make that move up, they have no chance of immediately winning. They're not going to win a bunch of stuff. You're just immediately burning them. I'd rather stick to a D2 school where I get my scholarship. And I feel like with this podcast, we have a really good way of walking through and being like, these guys aren't burned out. These guys are literally building it.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
Well, and it's kind of twofold,
Right.
because I understand from the standpoint of as an athlete, you're a competitor.
Yeah.
You want to go win championships.
Mm-hmm.
We're ineligible for those for 4 years. We have to go through our transition period before we can even compete in the Western Athletic Conference tournament. And don't quote me on this on the record. I believe women's basketball and men's basketball.
Turn off the recording.
Yeah, I know. No, I think, and this isn't just us. This is across the country. I think that they're trying to get it to where after 2 years you can compete in your conference tournament. You can't take the bid if you win it, because obviously if you win your conference tournament, you get the bid for the Western Athletic Conference to go to the NCAA. It would then either go to the regular season champion or whoever earned the berth alongside you in the championship game.
But you're allowed to compete in the first level.
Yes, that being said, nothing has been passed, nothing's been finalized on that front. That is something I believe that is being explored. And that's kind of just word of mouth, things that I've heard. I haven't even heard from any coaches or anything specific on that. But there is that. Once again, it's a tough pitch. Because part of the Division I move is that, man, one day we might see Tarleton basketball in March Madness. You might be able to fill that out, put them in your bracket if you wanted. And you don't get that for 4 years.
Lance and I were talking about that. There's a chance that if one of those goes off, it just explodes.
And that's the thing. It's tough because it's kind of you're kind of in a waiting period right now, and it's not just the athletes. Over in athletics, it takes us. It's a lot of fun having gotten to go to regional competitions and having watched Lone Star Conference tournaments in the past. You want it for the student athletes. It's fun for the staff as well.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is, Ethan, and it's what you talk about. You get to be a part of the foundation, and I mention this now, and this is. There's any 2 minutes to clip off and give to future athletes, and this is coming from someone who watched it happen firsthand. When I started going to TCU athletic events in the late 90s, they were in the Western Athletic Conference. Amon Carter Stadium, which now is housing between 45 and 50 for every important game. I mean, it's filled to the max for these Big 12 games, for all these non-conference games. I mean, it is a one-off event. There are 6 one-off events for football where it is just, it's a spectacle in a sense. It's from the tailgating to pregame routines with the band, the team. There's a section of it where they literally have the frog walk, where it's just our guys going from one part of campus to the other, and there's fans greeting them as they come in. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's become that in a sense now. It's kind of similar to Point to Hawk, kind of, if you've been to that whole thing here on game day. I remember when it was a 45,000 seat stadium, they'd be lucky to get 22 in.
Right.
You got kids who were, $10 tickets, $5 tickets. Do you know how much a licensing fee costs in the lower bowl now? Not to buy the tickets, just to get your name on a ticket, a seat, so you can then purchase the tickets after the fact.
Right.
Licensing fee at TCU is $25,000 per seat right now in the lower bowl. For a family of 4, just to be able to say, oh, we haven't bought our tickets yet, which are then going to run you probably, and I don't know the numbers of this, probably going to run you about $1,000 to $1,200 a pop on top of that.
Yeah.
You're talking $100,000. I mean, really think about that. That's a lot of money for 4 football tickets. I mean, you could put 2 kids through Tarleton State for that.
For a game.
For
one game.
For one football season, just to get your name. And I've watched it grow to what it is now. And here's my point. The guys that played in 2002, 2000, the boys that set the table, that were winning in the WAC, who then won in Conference USA, who then won in the Mountain West, who then went to the Big 12, they're as welcome back now as the guys that are playing in uniform.
Currently.
Those guys in uniform, they enjoy sitting and chatting with those guys more than anything. They set the table for them.
Right.
Without them, they can't get to where they are now. And so, the Cody Vanoys of the world, you look over at football, the Devin Haffords, the Stephen Duncans, but prior to them, even the guys that were D2, Ben Holmes, Amari Manning, these cats that were, kind of big names at D2, who helped push it forward, and these guys now that, and it's tough too, Ethan, and this isn't, I'm not going to subject it to one program. Every program has had its ups and downs this year. but you're going to lose some in this. This is a big transition to move to Division I against these programs that are established, that have been playing at this level. The first couple of years are tough.
This is true.
They're really tough. But if you stick it through, if the ones that stick it through, they're going to be as well remembered as the ones who are playing Tarleton football in 2031 and 2041. And I'm not necessarily saying that you're going to go on the same trajectory as TCU. You know, those are singular. The TCUs and West Virginias of the world that have found their way, those are just so unique in a sense. And I don't even mean the money and the quote-unquote prestige. It's just timing and circumstance, too, with a lot of that. And realignment, that has so much more to do than just the institutions
involved. Would you
involved.
say that it's another circumstance of luck, just like how you got a lot of your sort of standings and where you are and moved to?
In a way, well, you know what? I'll use a great example right now. We sit in the Western Athletic Conference, position of strength right now. We're about to transition in 5 new members next year, which we are then hoping, because they are all football members, that will push us to our 8 required members to form a football conference. You have to have 8 teams that play at the NCAA level in order to form a conference. Right now, us in New Mexico State and Dixie State are having to perform as independents because we don't have a league to affiliate with. We're whacking everything else.
We're missing too many.
But you get those 5 schools on, and once again, I'm not sure if the official groundwork's been laid. That's your thought process, though. You add those 5 in, you get to your 8. This time, 2 years ago, some people on the national scale would view the Western Athletic Conference as kind of the chance. You're kind of rolling the dice there. You know, there's not a ton of stability, not this and that. But I've watched Jeff Hurd, longtime commissioner of the league, has just done a phenomenal job by adding Tarleton, adding Dixie State, finding these other schools, isolating them, and getting them the kind of deals, getting them the kind of, you know, the regional ties he needs. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, you've gone from 2 years ago when it looked like, you know, everyone here on campus is going, man, we want in the Southland, we want in the Southland, we want in the Southland. And then Dr. Hurley comes in here wheeling and dealing and says, no, if the Southland doesn't want us, we're going where we're coveted. We're going where we're appreciated. We don't. If y'all got 3 or 4 schools that won't vote yes, you know what? We've got 7 who will. Yeah. Alongside Dixie. So if y'all don't want to pull the trigger, the Texans will go elsewhere. We make our move. Now all of a sudden, you fast forward 2 years. Now you got Southland schools that are migrating to the WAC. Now all of a sudden, it's the WAC that's operating from a position of strength. Yeah. And so when you look at it, it really,
it's like 5D chess.
It is finding your window. We had our window, we got our opportunity, and now it's making the most of it. So while some people would go, well, the kids for the next 4 years, they're just wasting their time. They're not going to get to play for this. They're not going to get to do this and that. Well, that's how you see it. Right. I see a great opportunity to help lay the foundation for something that then you can come back and continue to be a part of 10, 15, 20, 25 years. We just had the 92 Legends team on the field for football at one of the last games. Oh, cool. They're the ones who transitioned us to D2. Right. Those guys, we brought them back, and they had so much fun out there at the game.
And everyone who follows with sports thinks nothing but the highest of those guys.
And those guys are telling stories about, you know, the old facilities they had. You know, all those stories you hear from, you know, the 80s and 90s generation. Well, we only had this and that to change in. I remember when the facility looked like this. They walk into a $26 million athletic facility that's got a $3 million video board. I mean, they help do this. Yeah. And once again, we hope that in 10 years, these cats that helped usher us in with this 8-game schedule that had to fight through this COVID spring and just wait and just get their opportunity and play through.
The strangest season.
I hope they come back in 10 years and that the other side of the stadium matches the Lon Reisman Athletic Center, and which is the plan.
That'd be crazy.
I hope the baseball guys, the baseball guys at Cody Vanoy, he's gonna get to play on. They're putting $4 million right now. They're planning on putting $4 million with the renovations into football next year.
Oh my goodness!
Or into baseball. Pardon me. So you're gonna see some immediate improvements. Yeah. Thank Dr. Hurley. That man ain't playing. Like not even remotely.
He's making statements.
And you have someone in that's wheeling and dealing like that, a go-getter like that, alongside someone like our Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, Lon Reisman, who knows the blueprint of this university backwards and forwards, who is, and I tell everyone, one thing I love about him running this, and it makes us different, there's so many, you know, kind of political figureheads running athletic departments these days. You know, when I was at TCU, we had a great guy named Chris Del Conte who was just phenomenal at Rice. I mean, one of the top donor raisers in the country. You know, his ability to bring money in is remarkable. Did his tenure at TCU, moved on to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
Once kind of all of his challenges, he'd knocked all the doors down, and then we went and grabbed his right hand, Jeremiah Donati, who I cannot speak higher of. He's a great guy. But these guys, they never coach. They were never in it. They never sent their guys out there. They had to game plan to go beat somebody else. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying the importance of these gentlemen. There's a reason that Chris Del Conte is the highest paid athletic director in the country now in Texas. I mean, the guy, I mean, it was incredible to me the way that he could remember singular student athletes' names in a group of however many.
Yeah.
You know, Jeremiah, the guy that took over, he is a terrific fundraiser. And doesn't take away from Lon. Lon Reisman, our VP, is terrific at that as well. But what I love about Coach is he is hands-on enough to where he knows what's going on in all facets of his athletic department, but he's hands-off enough to where he's not micromanaging. He is allowing people to do their job, but he wants to know there's a level of accountability at all fronts here.
Yeah.
You only get that with a basketball coach, a head basketball coach, someone who has done it. I mean, once again, everything is so structured, and that is something when you look at these kinds of things like our pro forma going from Division II to Division I, which has to do with staffing, he's on top of all of that. When it comes to setting budgets in a COVID year with a transition, can you imagine the challenge that brings?
Lack of hiring.
Having someone who
funding
has,
freezes,
this is where I tell everyone, and I think Coach would say too, you know, we're talking about somebody who spent, you know, a lot of what would have been the formative years as an administrator being the men's basketball coach. I think Coach would be the first one to say that there are things that I can learn from others, but there are things that a lot of athletic directors could learn from Coach.
Yeah.
About the devil's in the details. Mm-hmm. No details get overlooked in athletics here, and I promise you that. And Lon's a big reason why.
There was a story I was told, and that for some reason it's pulling me back to Boy Scouts. But there was a basketball coach who he came in, and it's a famous story. You might be able to tell me the name. I only know the story of the first day he came into coaching these student athletes. The first thing he did, he took everyone to the court. He had everyone take all their socks and shoes off, and then he explained and worked with each of them how to put their socks on properly, so that they wouldn't get any sort of chafing or any blisters while they were playing the game. And then he taught them how to lace up their shoes because the details mattered so much. You needed to get those down so much. Is that story
I can't
familiar?
I can't recall the story, but like I said, that's part of being a basketball coach. I mean, and once again, I mentioned, in a sense, I think that coaches
I'll look it up and see if I can find it.
I was going to say that I think that in this kind of transition, during a COVID pandemic, we wouldn't ask for anybody else running this athletic department because he is very detailed. He wants to know what's going on with all these different things. He wants to make sure we're doing things by the book from a compliance standpoint, from an academic standpoint, and then athletically, from that standpoint, wants to be competitive in everything. And so I think that that's a strength we have right now in athletics, that's balanced nicely with Dr. Hurley. You know, I think that that's something else that we have to point out, you know, in athletics is that we're very appreciative of everything that him and Kendall do for us. I mean, we're in a place where, you know, it's a critical time during the transition. We need to kind of bridge this gap correctly. It hadn't been any easier for him to navigate through a COVID year than it has us. But we've been allowed the opportunity, you know, to kind of take a priority since his tenure began. Doc has done a great job of making sure that athletics is taken care of because while we don't feel, you know, like we're more important than the radio station or than band, the student orgs, student affairs, like all these different things, I mean, we do believe, like, our platform's important right now during this Division I transition, us getting onto ESPN+, us being able to put up billboards inside the Metroplex, being able to use athletics as kind of a driving force to not only make our athletic department stronger, but to make our university stronger.
Well,
and I think Dr. Hurley's done a terrific job strategically being able to help us plan that.
Kyle, I would like to say that perhaps it's not that everyone what's more than likely the feeling is that all eyes are on you. Everyone is paying attention to athletics right now because you are taking a big leap. And I do have to cut you off now. You've had a big pit. Yes, Cole?
I have a question, actually. I know we're talking... I'm sorry, we might go over, but I know we're talking a lot about D1 and the football team and stuff, but what are we doing with women's athletics? Like, are we giving them the same opportunities that the boys are getting?
Absolutely, and I think the big part of that, we just hired a terrific new compliance, Associate AD for Compliance, Eric Heyer. was a cheerleader at BYU, has a law degree. He's terrific. Like you want to talk about somebody who is on the ball with everything. All of our, all of our T's are crossed and all of our I's are dotted. We're making sure of those things. He has someone under him, Rob Woodcock, who's our director of compliance. And yeah, I think the platform, in a sense, Title IX's critical. Being able to give our ladies, this last offseason, we just got softball. They updated their the one thing I'd been hearing about for years, and it was kind of the running joke, was the ladies in softball were just like, can we just get a locker room with AC? That's all we want.
Yeah.
They just set them up in the horticulture building, and that thing is nice, Cole. I'll tell you, you go take a look. Like it is a state-of-the-art deal they've got in there now.
That's where they move them to.
Well, and that's the other thing, too. I talk about baseball's improvements. Softball will be right behind them. It's I mean, we talk about the women's side of thing. I keep preaching about football. Volleyball finished 13-11 in their first year, and that's starting 1-6.
Yeah.
Mary Schindler, until of our transition, because she was the senior women's administrator for a little while, but then as you make your transition, you have to transition out of those things, the Division I level. And Sherry Spellmeyer, who runs our academics, does it now. She's terrific as well. But we're talking about somebody, Mary Schindler's one of the, when I look at leadership and I look at stability and all that, I mean, she is this, from a kind of female power position, I mean, she has kept her program. This transition is tough for everyone. She's bridged that gap as well as anybody has. The crowds have been terrific out there. I think that as we move forward, everyone's going to benefit. Everyone is. And the one thing I really love about our women's programs here, and I apologize for not adding my good friend Ellie and Douglas Moran, who coaches the tennis team, into this little analogy here, but they are born and bred here. Mary Schindler played for Tarleton. She's been coaching for Tarleton now since the early 2000s. Misty Wilson played for Tarleton in the late 90s into the early 2000s. She has now been here since then coaching, transition from the assistant to the head coach. Isabel Jimenez, who is with the golf program, she was a two-time All-American here. Now she runs the Tarleton golf program. Even with softball,
nice to hear.
Softball, Tana Huey, she's one of the assistants. She was an All-American here at Tarleton. So the one thing that stands out to me, and that, the women's side, it's very exciting, is that you have a lot of Tarleton ladies that are helping move this transition forward. And if anyone can pitch this university, it's them. If anyone can make sure that we're being accountable on these things, it's going to be them. And then you add in, I mentioned my friend Eliane, we're talking about somebody who is not a Tarleton product. She came from the University of Washington, a Power 5 program, who brings a lot of experience from that front, who transitioned in from Lance Drake, who had been running the program for years and years. And so there's a stability on the women's side. And like I said, I have told people the job volleyball did, starting 1-6, being able to turn around. They beat TCU twice this year. They played Texas Tech really tough at home. They ended up evening out while they finished with a 6-8 WAC record. Chicago State had a weird deal in their schedule where technically those games were not counted as WAC games. I tell everyone, though, in my book, you won as many games against Western Athletic Conference competition this year as you lost. That's a victory in itself. In football, we got to give them kudos with a 5-3. It's tough to schedule this year. It was tough for them to get some big boys on the schedule because, number one, those are done so far in the future, and number two, the big boys are bagging out because of COVID.
Yeah.
TCU, for example.
Can't risk it.
Yeah, TCU, for example, who we've got a future deal set up with. I'm not sure if it's been to paper, but preliminary discussions have been made. They wanted to move that game forward, but COVID pushed everything back.
Of course.
And so, Mary, look at how she's scheduled. Look at how they competed. Volleyball can be as proud of this. I tell everyone, when it's all said and done and the smoke clears, they're probably going to be the ones that did more with less.
Yeah.
In this whole thing, and so no, Cole, and I love that you asked that question because I've grown to have an appreciation for women's athletics that I did not used to have, and a lot of it has to do with just not being exposed enough. Yeah. And there was a former famous, probably the most famous basketball coach in the history of the game, John Wooden, who was at UCLA for the better part of 4 decades, I think. And I think he won, it was double-digit national championships. He's won more than anyone has by far. He used to say all the time he likes watching the girls' game better than the guys. Said it all the time. He said the way they play the game fundamentally is more the way basketball should be played, especially now in this day and age of shooting threes from the parking lot, throwing alley-oop dunks and all that. Basketball is so different than it was when I was growing up. The women's game hasn't changed much, though. It hasn't. And there's and having followed that, having gotten my 5 years of women's basketball under my belt, I've grown to have an appreciation for volleyball more than I've ever had. Watching those ladies,
I play volleyball. I love it.
And so I think that I've grown to have more of an appreciation. Not only have I gotten to broadcast these, but I've gotten to be exposed to these remarkable young ladies that are involved in our athletic department. I mean, Tarleton, I couldn't be more proud to be affiliated with these ladies. And really, all of Texas Nation, they should feel very prideful in the fact that these are the ladies that are representing this university right now, because they're doing it in a very tough time, and we hope to be able to give them the platform moving forward that each and every one of them deserve.
I hope to see that too. I'm glad that Tarleton is acknowledging the ladies, because it's super important. I know there's huge stuff going on, specifically in soccer. My fiance is big into soccer, so we pay attention to that. But in women's soccer, huge stuff is going on with trying to get them the same ranking that they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ranking that they really deserve.
And we're adding women's soccer. We're looking for our inaugural head coach right now here at Tarleton. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. You're talking to somebody who broadcasted soccer at TCU for 3 years, and now we're getting one. We're bringing it to Stephenville. I love it. And the one thing that I really want to point out too, and kind of leading into what you were talking about, to me, and this is just individually, and it's broken my heart because of COVID. It's been a lot of the ladies that have seen their sports go by the wayside, and then the men follow because of Title IX. It's a funding issue with this COVID stuff, and it breaks my heart, because here's the extra layer to it, and this is a hot take of mine, and I believe 4 years of athletics in college, it's more valuable for the women than it is for the men, and here's why. These ladies worked their whole lives for these 4 years. This is it. How many ladies do you run into that are going to be softball players that say, "Yeah, I want to take this. I want to play for Team USA softball. I want to go play professional softball."
It's hard to get there.
But beyond that too, it's a different mindset for ladies at times. This 4 years they view. I don't want to say that they think it's more valuable than the guys do, because I know plenty of male student athletes who are like, "No, dude, while you watch me on the floor getting the degree is the important part. I am not devaluing that away from the men at all."
Yeah.
What I'm more saying, though, is generally across high school competition, and this spans all the sports, the ladies, they're just trying to get in here, man. They're trying to get their school paid for. They're trying to move their craft forward. Whereas how many guys... That was the running joke that one of my mentors at TCU, Chuck Lemondola, who is the voice of the baseball program, he told us this all the time. Mm-hmm. Every single one of the pro TCU baseball players are going pro. You didn't know that? Ask them. They'll tell you. They'll tell you that each and every one of them. That's their goal. Yeah. Their goal was to get into a camp when they're done and try to move it forward.
Right.
The ladies, they want to go get their nursing degree. They want to go get their communications degree. They want to go do their business degree. They want to go do all these different things, and that's kind of, to me, more than a point or anything along those lines. It's more just it needs to be stated of the fact that and I love that Cole asked the question, is that to me, the ladies at the collegiate level, they're more valuable in a sense, because. Yeah, it's about dollars and cents in a way. Like, that's how we go in athletics. We have to, we're by no means a for-profit, but you have to meet your bottom line to fund everything and to do all of that.
To make sure everyone gets to play their sport.
But to me, the ladies, they have the true college mindset. They appreciate it more. In a sense, not this lady appreciates it more than that male. But I felt like as a whole...
That whole program, whole side of it.
Yes, and once again, not to just lump them all in, because that would be wrong to say. But having seen all the things I've seen, knowing the female student athletes I knew in college, watching the ones here, and then being exposed, to the male student athletes, there's an appreciation they have for just being here at Tarleton and just getting an opportunity to represent the university. And I agree, Cole. The ladies, they're going to be a huge, women's athletics here, they're going to get every bit their due moving forward as the men do, because if you don't think they're as important to steer the ship as the men do, you're sadly mistaken.
Thank you.
Yeah, they just anecdotal evidence to add on to that bit. They were traveling like crazy this last season. Kyle, you went with them. Was it the volleyball game or the women's basketball game where you were in Seattle and then all of a sudden you were right back to Texas?
Oh, I mean,
in just a couple of days.
Oh, I mean, the women, they crammed that COVID year in, man.
Oh,
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just from the beginning of the. you look back and all these. I mean, I traveled this year alone, Beaumont, Texas, to Oklahoma to Oral Roberts. Went to Gainesville, Florida, to see the Florida Gators, to see us play the Florida Gators. Vegas for the holiday tournament. You go in January to Seattle. You go in just in the month of February. We went to Chicago, Phoenix, and El Paso. I mean, you're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And
all women's basketball.
And this spans both sides of it.
Fighting everyone at their house.
The men's,
seriously,
the men's and the women's. You know, the dedication it takes for these young men and these young ladies on the road to be able to stay disciplined and stay engaged with their classes and do all of that. I mean, you know, and it's a critical time for us. You know, I mean, there's all these different. When you look at the transition. I mentioned you have your pro forma you have to meet, which are staffing requirements. There's academic requirements now.
Yes.
You have to meet higher academic performance ratings now. You have to make sure that you're not only recruiting solid athletes, but that student comes first.
Right.
It's a student athlete. And now you've got to make sure that you're getting the right kids not only to represent you on your respective court or field, but also that's going to represent you correctly in the classroom.
There was a statement Hurley made at, I think it was to the tailgate that I had worked at. There was homecoming. During homecoming week, the first tailgate event, Byron and Casey did a 1 hour pre-game.
Tarleton Game Day.
Exactly. Tarleton Game Day's live production, and Hurley was on there, and he made a big statement. He wanted to make his whole point of like that entire segment that he was on for was that we were the first ones to come in with, I believe, a 3.0 average GPA on our football team. That was a big deal. That we have a very smart student team.
Yeah.
Was if I'm remembering right, I could be totally off base here, but I think that like a sense of pride that Hurley was trying to make was that like they're good students. And they're also good athletes.
These 4 years set the foundation for the next 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I've always seen it. You know, the things you learn,
right
the people
now.
You meet. A piece of paper you get at the end. It's an important part, but I mean, it's all the things that these student athletes are learning from these coaches, these great leaders that we have. You know, the relationships they're building with their teammates. You know, being able to have relationships with the fans, the other students in the student body. I mean, they're invaluable. These are things that are going to set them up for the rest of their lives, and you know, it's like I said, it's kind of a multi-layered deal here with this transition. There's things you're not getting, but there's also so many things that you're getting now at the WAC, with the WAC and transitioning to Division I that, you know, those were not opportunities that were available. And the other thing, too, to remember on this, and I draw the comparison, and I don't like comparing TCU and Tarleton in a sense because they're just so different.
Mm-hmm.
They're just from student body to funding, the cities they're in. I mean, they can't be more different.
Well, we both have the T and the U and a lot of purple.
And yeah, I was about to say my right. my wardrobe transitioned nicely. That's the one thing that I have.
It's purple and white, right?
But this is what I also tell everyone is that, of course, TCU athletics it boomed once they moved to the Big 12. You win the Rose Bowl, you do all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the education has gotten better from a notoriety standpoint. People around the country know who TCU is now.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to get to the same level overnight or the same level overall. I think that that's what makes this so unique and exciting is that we don't know where this is going to go. It's going to be the hard work and the dedication of our athletic department and our university that's going to and that's why I'm blessed to be where I am. I'm proud to be one of the people that's helping roll their sleeves up and do this thing, man, because it's a great opportunity. This degree that you guys, are going to get, it might be more valuable in 10 years because of this transition. It could be because you never know what office you walk into, and someone, let's say that in 10 years the basketball program takes off like we are expecting it to.
Yeah.
And you pull off one of those huge upsets during March Madness week. That could bust some CEO's bracket across the country that you could interview with down the road. Then he picks your paper up and he goes, "Oh, dude, you went to Tarleton
State?
I remember when y'all beat Kentucky or y'all beat Arkansas or y'all beat North Carolina that one day. Y'all screwed my whole bracket up."
I was there for that game.
Yeah, or, for another great example, football, when we played McNeese State on the 13th of February, It was the only Division I football game at any level that was going.
Yeah.
If you were in Vegas, and the reason I put it in those terms, I was in Chicago at the time, and we stayed when we had to rebook our flight. We stayed across from a casino, and my buddy that I was staying with just mentioned that. He goes, "Yeah, man, if someone wanted to go across the street and place a wager right now, and you wanted to bet on football, you got one game you can bet on.
One of two teams.
Tarleton's in that game.
One of two teams.
It's a huge deal. We're on sports.
All eyes on us.
And while the end of that game did not go as we would have liked, we got on Sports Center that night. Scott Van Pelt had it on there, because Ed Orgeron, who's the head coach at LSU, just won a national championship 2 seasons ago.
Right.
His son ends up running in the game-winning touchdown here. Yeah, it sucks. We wanted to win the game, but end of the day, it's like, dude, you're on ESPN right now.
Yeah, Sports Center.
That is the kind you cannot.
There are people who pay for this network.
You cannot put a value on the kind of notoriety and kind of the eyes that see that, and so, it's the transition. It's just giving. There's so much opportunity available now. I think for not only athletics but the entire institution of Tarleton State University, and. Like I said, I'm very, very blessed to get to be a part of this right now with a great group of leaders who I know are going to transition us in the correct way moving forward.
I would say very well spoken this entire episode, Kyle. You're killing it. Extemporaneously speaking, this is the definition of it right here.
Right.
I don't know how many notes you had prepared for this little episode, how much of the scripting you had set up, but whatever you didn't have set up, I couldn't even tell.
Well,
it was almost perfect.
Just remember this, Ethan. Like always, no one gets my information without you. So
I brought it to the people again.
There you go.
Yeah,
Look at me go.
It's all you.
If you enjoy, audience, if you enjoyed Kyle Cruz talking on sports, or you just think he has a very handsome voice, you want to listen to him talk about softball. We have 2 softball games going on tomorrow. That'll be April 9th. You can listen to them here at KTRL 90.5, or you can also listen on the one of 2 live streams, one of which will be on tarleton.edu. tarletonsports.com/live, I believe, is the live stream there. You can also listen to it at tarletonradio.com. That'll be KTRL's live stream address that we go to. It's broadcast live the exact same time. Of course, we don't want you to listen to it or watch it on the TV, as we just had that big conversation about radio being a thing. So please do give a listen. Kyle will be doing both softball games. That's going to be a big one for you. I'm sure that'll be very fun.
First Western Athletic Conference softball games at home in school history.
Fantastic.
And Mark Cumpion's squad, they've been working hard. They coming off a big win against Dixie over the weekend, a fellow transitioner. So, everyone needs to come out and support the ladies. And
yes,
if you can't, be sure to tune in right here on 100.7 KXTR.
Tune in. That way we get the numbers for you. You get to listen to what we're talking about right now, because every single step made for this season specifically is going to be affecting everything coming next. Every single win is a victory that just compounds. Every loss is something that is going to be genuinely learned as a lesson. I could literally see, or hear rather, while doing board op games for women's basketball, certain movements that were just changing game to game. I could hear the coach, early on, we would talk, Kyle and I, of like, are we getting a coach interview after this game? No, we are not getting a coach interview after this game. That was a bad one. As we move forwards, we're definitely getting a coach's interview. Coach is loving it right now. They are learning. They're figuring it out. It's a moment of growth for Tarleton Athletics, and I genuinely hope that all of you can come in and listen and be there on 90.5 KTRL tomorrow afternoon as of the time of this release. Or, if you need to, you can head over to tarletonradio.com, listen to it from your computer, laptop, iPad. Kyle, thank you very much for coming on to the show. Cole, fortunately, we kind of had a a big showrunner, a big name come in.
No, it's fine. I enjoyed the conversation for sure.
He really kind of talked the whole episode, didn't he, Colt? Jeez. No, Kyle, we genuinely enjoyed you. I wouldn't have emailed you and to ask you to come on the show if I wasn't prepared, knowing you already that this was a possibility. I just wanted to say with you, Cole,
yes,
you have 2 releases coming out for your show, Making Space, a Diversity Dialogue, next Tuesday on April 13th, sorry.
It's okay.
It is going to be an episode over being adopted into the Cherokee Nation. You have an interview with a student where this actually happened?
Yes. She was adopted as a young child into a family who was Cherokee. So.
And then,
super interesting. Really, really enjoyed it.
There was a lot of drama about this episode, particularly on the production side, and so I'm really curious when this comes out. I haven't been able to hear it.
It's good.
But I want to see. I want to see what ends up coming of that, because there was a lot going on in emails and a lot of me talking with Cole being like, no, it's like totally fine. Do it. Have them fight each other. I want to see it.
No, let's not have people fight each other. We'll have to talk about that next time.
But speaking on, we can definitely talk about that next time. And there is going to be a new live dialogue, as it's the beginning of the month, for the Autism Acceptance Month. There was 2 speakers. This was a live dialogue recorded by the Diversity of...
The Office of Diversity, Inclusion.
Office of Diversity and Inclusion. If you'd like to listen to that, you can head over and find both of them at Making Space, a Diversity Dialogue, Cole's podcast on Tarleton Radio Network. I had a bunch of speaking points, but we don't need to get to them anymore. The show is over. I'm going to start raising this up and doing the outro. Y'all are free to hang out if you'd like, or you're welcome to leave. I got to talk with the audience, though.
Okay.
Listeners, viewers, we come to a close on this here episode. If you showed up late or wish to revisit us, you can find this show on our YouTube channel at Tarleton Radio as a video, or listen in on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts. For updates about the show and other interesting things we make here at the station, follow us on all the links in the description. We'll have a new release link and a new RSS feed for the Journey of the Texans podcast. We officially have a name. We're working on setting up the separate yet joint account next week with Cody. He'll more than likely be on the show next week if I can get him free in the afternoon. Baseball schedules are notoriously difficult to work with. This has been your episode of Cruisin the Planet, where you can find something to do in and around Stephenville every week. This one specifically, listen to the games tomorrow. If you can't make it to those games, there is one happening next Tuesday in the afternoon that I am board hopping, I believe, or there is one happening Saturday from, I believe, noon till whenever the game ends. It's I have the list right here. It is a softball game versus California Baptist. So we got 3 softball games coming up, and then we've got a baseball game against TCU. Look at that, Kyle.
Nice.
Now you have to pick your favorite. Wear your best purple on that day. That'll be my recommendation. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can always ask them in the comments or as a review of the show if you happen to be able to do that. And that is everything. I'm going to turn off all the mics now, but we will see all of you people next week.
Bye, guys.
Kyle, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate y'all having me.